hello, and welcome to the show. For today's rally car build, I've got another legendary rally vehicle, although this one rather different to the Subaru that went out last. This is the Alpine A110. A very, very lightweight car. This one starts off at about £1,600, which is, not much weight at all, but of course then it is likely to have less power. And we have seen these cars, certainly in various races in previous Forza games, be incredibly quick. These can be very, very fast cars. So I am hoping that we will be seeing it fast here today. Now, as per rules of the series, it must be made all-wheel drive, which will put the weight up a little bit. It's still under £2,000. We're going to come back to engines because I'm not quite sure what we are going to have to do with the Alpine. Now, I would like to run it with this front bumper. However, we want the Forza Aero. We need the Forza Aero on the car to give it the downforce. Again, much like I would like to run with those parts, but we want the Forza Aero bits, and we may come back later to the rear bumper if we need to make up PI and so on and so forth. Now, tyres. We're going to, of course, be running the vehicle on the off-road compound of tyres with as big a tyres as we can get, which is going to be 215s all around on the little Renault. And to the handling bits and pieces that we want, race brakes, rally suspension. We're going to want the anti-roll bars along with the roll cage. And then we have weight reduction, whatever we can get out of it. So it's back down to £1,700. Now, the engine. The engine is the relatively sizable conversion. Now, I want to try and keep standard engine with cars as much as we can. I just don't know if this is actually going to be able to get enough power with the standard engine. It's not looking very likely. We'll give it a try. But yeah, it's really not looking massively likely. Now, it's not going to need crazy levels of power to get to the top of S1 class, simply because it is so incredibly light. The power-to-weight ratio will be massive, and that will likely jump the PI up quite quickly. But it does look like it's not going to be able to do it with a standard engine, as I expected a little bit. It's halfway through S1 class. I mean, this thing is going to get all right power, I think, out of it. Now, our options for engines. We can go for the 2-litre i4, or we can go for the 2.5-litre flat 4. Turbo Rally is a decent enough engine. It's a little bit heavier than the other two, and when it comes to upgrading it, you're a lot more restricted in that the only thing you can take off it are the restrictors. So we're going to not use the Turbo Rally engine with this car. I think, well, considering I'm probably going to want to turbo that engine anyway, this is lighter, already has a turbo installed on it as well. So I think we're going to go for the flat 4. It's also got considerably more torque, but I guess it is, got a lot more PI to go with it. We're going to go with the flat 4 turbo in this, so it is the Impreza engine, basically, in the Alpine. While we're here, let's just go and stick the gearbox on. I don't know what the gear ratios are going to be like in this car. I'm hoping they're going to be all right, and we'll put a diff on while we are at it. So, let's see how much power we can get in this car, keeping it in S1 class. It's looking like it's going to be around the 400 horsepower mark. That's a pretty, for a car that is this light, 400 horsepower is a lot. Now, admittedly, it is nowhere near as much as the likes of the Ram Runner, but you have also got to bear in mind that there is just simply less mass needing to be pulled up the hills around the course, which will help this car. In fact, it's going to be getting near 500 horsepower than 400. That is really more than I was expecting from this car. Now, do we go? I don't really want to go with the intercooler, but I think we're going to have to make up PI, and plus, the extra power is going to be useful. I think we have now got all. Okay, right. We haven't done camshafts in here. We are going to. I'm thinking my best bet. If we put that in there, okay, and we are going to go for intercooler on this car. It's a little bit more weight, but it does put us up to 540 horsepower almost. What does this do in terms of? Okay, so we could. Okay, we're going to go for that. So we're almost 550 horsepower. Now we're going to go flywheel and driveline and clutch and everything. And this will all work, I think, with my PI. Yes, it will. So basically we've got a lot more power from the intercooler and the what's it called? The oil and cooling. That's the other bit. While the kind of weight, the additional weight that's normally not so friendly has, oh, that's even better. That raises the PI, that lowers, that raises the PI and raises the weight. That lowers the PI and lowers the weight. Or keeps the PI the same. Yeah, sure, we're going to go for that. We have got a lot of power in this car. This is a seriously powerful, seriously more powerful Alpine than I was expecting at 550 horsepower and 500 torque. This might be very, very quick. Might be a tad uncontrollable. We have seen that with the lightweight cars, but it could also be monumentally fast. So, of course, it is off to the reservoir trail with the Alpine, where it will get 3 runs through the course. Now, our current leader is the Ram Runner. 229.8 is a mighty fast benchmark for anything to try and get near, and I'm not sure if the Alpine can really challenge that, although this is a very much sort of wild-cardy car taking down here. My best guess is perhaps around the Hemi Cuda, 232.7, the Impreza that went out last time, 233.2. I'm thinking we might see it around about in there. That is all kind of reliant on just how well this car can manage the bumps. I did have to quickly adjust the gear ratios because they were ludicrously short and almost unusable from standard. Yeah, we're going to fire the car. It's got incredible acceleration, you know, it's on par with the Mini coming down into that water splash. Ooh, we do not have the grip, though, to be flat out through turn 1. Now that, I think, might be a little bit of rear engine syndrome. That is something that I hadn't thought about until that first corner. Basically, all of the weight in this car is over the back, and as we kind of crest that hill, the front of the car gets lifted up skyward, not quite into the air, but kind of gets unloaded, and we just don't turn. That is a little bit of a problem that I hadn't... Oh, it doesn't have again there. That is something I hadn't thought about, and that is something that might prove problematic for the Alpine. Now, it's going to be more controllable than the Mini. I think while it is tiny and light, it's got a longer wheelbase than the Mini, and I think this probably will be a bit nicer through the turns. However, that weight distribution is a little bit on the scary side, and there on the landing it's almost wanted to let go. I'm running very, very wide around there, trying to keep the car all in check as we soar through the air. Don't actually lose as much speed on landing as you might expect, although I was landing on the wonky side of things. Oh, we're going to be really, really sideways. We're fighting the Alpine quite a lot. It is not as nice and smooth as the Subaru was. It's actually better through the water than I thought. I was expecting it to not be a massive fan of that water section, but 108 miles an hour is not too shabby whatsoever. It's quicker than the Impreza through there. Back end is quite snappy on this car. It is quite keen to let go. And again, as I was talking about with the 22B, it's this losing momentum, scrubbing off speed through a lot of these quick corners with oversteer that is not good, the sum of these cars. Here, for example, it's just wanting to slide. Now, I do want to be out a little bit wider for that section. However, I don't want the back end of the car moving around. We're looking up at the sky a lot across these bumps. I mean, I guess of all the ways it could behave over these bumps, looking up at the sky is not the worst thing a car has done on this stage. Oh, are we going to get back down again in time? Yes, we are. Carry plenty of speed across the first part. Again, we got tipped a little bit to our left. I was kind of ready for it with this car. Slow it down for the penultimate corner. More oversteeriness from the Alpine as we round the final turn, making sure not to clatter into the wall at 239. A scruffy opening run. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about the weight distribution, how much that is affecting this car. That might be a little bit of a problem. So it is on to the second run with Alpine. Definitely some time to be found. I'm not sure it's quite going to be the 10 or so seconds that is needed to catch up to the Ram Runner, but definitely some time to be had. Now we're going to have to go on the brakes. I mean, we are still carrying a lot of speed. Now, let's not forget that was on the brakes, still 130 miles an hour, and again we can get the acceleration out of those corners like, well, just about nothing else. So it's better on that opening section, although I've run way too deep into the first of the dirt corners. Got to be aware, I don't think the brakes are as good on this car as they were on the Impreza. That is very, very sideways that I did not want to be doing. Got away with it, okay, but that's perhaps not the opportune line through that corner. I don't think we've got the stability in this car. I don't have the confidence in the Alpine, not in the same way that I got from the Impreza. You know, the Impreza fills you with confidence, and to an extent, you know, the 288, the Z4, and all of them cars that have gone, even, you know, the likes of the Ram Runner and the trucks, have filled me with a lot more confidence than this is at the moment. This is, yeah, quite leery and liable to letting go big time through these corners. Spectacular, as a spectator, spectacular, but as a driver, it is just not that friendly. Or, to me, the way I like to have my cars, it is not so helpful. Although I think we are on a much better run this time around. More big oversteer moment is going to put me out in a tree. I had to say something, didn't I? We were on a better run. I should try to carry speed up that part of the course, and it's just letting go. The rear end is letting go all at the wrong times. And that one, I wasn't quite fast enough to catch it. Or, well, I caught the slide. There just wasn't enough road to be catching the slide at the speed I was going, sadly. Well, we're going to tip it in very sideways once more through there. Yeah, this might be all-wheel drive, but it is still very... Oh, we're on the bumps there. This has all gone horribly wrong. Yeah, it might be all-wheel drive. It is still very, very leery indeed. I will say, for such a tiny light car, it is doing pretty well across these bumps. No, it is not the best we've seen, but it is certainly not the worst, all things considered. I mean, that's a lot of speed across the first part. If we can, not quite so much across the second, because I have to correct on the landing. If we can do that much on our final run, I think we will be looking at a potentially very, very good time from this car as we round the final corner and run to the line. Yep. Getting caught, I've got caught out of place on 2 jumps that time around. We don't want some inopportune oversteer. That's quite bad. So it is on to the final run with the Alpine. I think there is potential for a very impressive run with this car if, and it is quite a big if, I can get everything perfect, because this is not the easiest car to drive. With its, well, rear engine weight characteristics, lifting the front up through some high-speed corners, that's slightly less than ideal, and its tendency to be very, very oversteery. I think a combination perhaps of that and relatively small tyres on the car. It is not an easy vehicle to drive. It is not an easy vehicle to drive at all, but there is a lot of power and very little weight, and the acceleration is pretty much second to none. So, if everything goes well in this car, there is definitely potential to see some serious speed. But we've really got to try and keep on top of the oversteer. It's really little movements through these faster corners. Oh god, this is where it's very, very scary in the Alpine, because that back end lets go at 120 miles an hour. You're going to have a really, really big accident, or you're just going to lose a lot of time trying to get control of the car. And there's just not the confidence. I can't throw the car through here with anywhere near the speed and belief that I could with some of the other vehicles. Now, one thing that will help the car's cause is, because it is so light and powerful, the acceleration, if things have gone a little bit wrong, is pretty damn impressive. So it does have that going for it, but things are more likely to be going wrong like that. We're just ending up in a little bit of awkward positioning down there. I'm hoping that we can make up some time on the run down the back straight. Yeah, it's not the most comfortable cars to drive. As I said, it's not the worst across the bumps that we've seen, but it's certainly not the best either. Get that front back down, we've just got to wait. It's the waiting to get on the power where we are losing the time. And again, we're going to have a lift, kind of coast our way through the opening part here. I want to maintain as much speed, of course, as I possibly can. Oh, this is going to be a little bit troublesome, I think. No, we've got away with it. We've got away with it. It It does fly very back down across these big jumps as we're still getting some oversteer in the Alpine. Up towards the final corner we go. It's just going to head towards the line. It's a 235 for the Alpine. Oh, it's not quite 235, sorry, 236.0 from the Alpine. It's an incredibly fast accelerating car. There is no doubt about that. One of, if not the fastest. Probably the Mini is the only thing that's got close to this in terms of acceleration, and that's not a surprise when you have this much power and this little weight. The issue is, it just can't carry the corner speed. You just don't have the confidence with this car to carry the corner speed because the back end is going to let go on you. Whereas the Impreza, you could carry the corner speed with ease. In this, you're constantly fighting the car. You're constantly fighting it. The Impreza perhaps lost a little bit of time in places, or with sort of scrubbing off speed with oversteer. But with this, it is, you know, the fear that it's going to spin on you, or you're going to try and catch it and you're going to twitch it into a tree or something. It's just not got the rear end grip to get through this course with quite as much speed. But yeah, there we go. Still a 236 isn't too bad on the times. It will put the Alpine in to 13th place. It just fractionally beats the Subaru SVX, beats the Ford Pursuit Ute, the BAC Model, the Opel Manta, but it does lose out to the BMW Z4, the Mazda RX-7, Ferrari 166, Nissan Skyline R32, and so on. And, you know, it's some 6 seconds down on the Ram Runner. Yeah, it's just a lack of control from the Alpine. Good fun car to drive, but not got enough rear-end grip. Now, before I do go today, let's go see if we have a wheel spin. I think we might be might have a wheel spin. I am going to use this brief time for a quick announcement. By the time this video goes up, I'm going to be moving house. Now, wow, that's an awful wheel spin. Yeah, I'm going to be moving house, so there is potential that over the coming week, videos may be a little bit, may only be one video a day, or may end up being a day without videos. I'm hoping there isn't. Fingers crossed if I can get everything planned and everything works properly and internet, you know, working in my new place as soon as possible. Hopefully you're never going to notice any change at all. However, I'm just going to sort of give a general warning that things may get a little bit disjointed over the next week. As I said, I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, but yeah, there is your warning. However, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.